Welcome back to the Sales Revolution. I'm Ingrid Maynard, founder and managing director of The Sales Doctor, and I'm joined today by Mandi Ford, who's the founder and managing director of ES Concierge. Welcome, Mandi.
Thank you, Ingrid. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. It's so great to have you here. And I thought we might start by, if you can just walk us through your career journey so far, but especially in light of that light bulb moment that made you realise that the world needed ES Concierge.
I have always worked in marketing, and then I did a sojourn into events when I moved to Sydney, and I was offered a role with a English company that was looking to launch a events business here in Australia in the lead up to the Sydney Olympics. And I said to my then boyfriend, now husband, oh gosh, I don't want to work in events, but look, I'll do it for 6 months and we'll see how we go. I stayed there for 10 years and absolutely loved it. And that's sort of where I've always worked, I've always had a service element to my career. So and really passionate about solving problems for people. So when I started ES Concierge Co, which is 14 years old next month, we started as a project management business. And the reason that I started the business is because I wanted to do a business that worked alongside our clients to support them in engagement for staff and customers. And the project management side of the business was designed so that we would take everything that was activated was measured for ROI. And how it impacted their staff retention and then into the customer retention, contract renewal. And we found that in this journey that we were being asked to do things that really didn't fit into that project management model. And we realised that there needed to be a business that solved smaller problems. And those problems being finding the best product and service solutions, from finding a restaurant, booking a private dining room, to they've got an international visitor coming to the city, to a private celebration in their home, helping them with a date night, like some ideas for their wedding, gifting for a celebration or for a customer. And I really wanted to do a business that made people smile. And the concierge business is that. And it just helps people to take a moment and breathe. And when we are onboarding new members into our concierge business, you can actually feel their shoulders drop, they take a breath, they know that we have it and that they're going to be supported. And whether it is we're finding the perfect gift for their dad to a business product or service solution, you know that they have a wingman. And everybody, whether it is in work or life, they need a team of people to help them for their day to be the best day they could possibly have. And that's us.
Mandi, I really appreciate how ES Concierge started as that project management business, and then you realised that actually we also need to be looking after those smaller occasions, like you said, booking a restaurant or accommodation or gifting and those sorts of things. What sort of people, I suppose the question I'm asking is, because the skills that you have in project management, they're quite, there's certificates in project management, people study to be project managers, but what are the qualities or skills or backgrounds that you find are the best fit for making people smile, which is a skill set? If that's the outcome that we're really trying to drive here, what are those skills and qualities?
And it really needs to be somebody who is very articulate. They are great communicators. Being able to solve problems and think logically. So that's why, our experience in project management helps us, because whether we are doing a project for a client or we're doing, a smaller, like a request in the concierge business, it is asking the right questions to help us to find the best product or service that will solve this. And having that a skill is something that, we really are looking for when we're looking to hire new people. Being able to stop, listen, think, ask the right questions, and then we go about solving the solution. So it's got to be somebody who's incredibly organised. We find that, and no disrespect to, like a male or a female audience, this role to date has been very well suited to females in our business because we are exceptional multitaskers. Not saying that the gents can't, but we have found that so far our best candidate has been a female.
It's really interesting. That's really interesting because I could imagine that, so you've got these candidates there, you're looking at the organisational skills, you're looking for, people that can ask really great questions in order to really pull apart a need. But then there's those indefinable qualities as well. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that struck me that night that we were at the awards last year with Michelle, and we were talking about you coming on here and you were talking about, unreasonable hospitality. My own experience and observation over many years is that people that come from a hospitality background just seem to they get it, why service is more about the customer's perception of that experience than nearly any other industry. What's your perspective on this, and how has this shaped your approach with clients and your clients' clients?
Look, when you're working in hospitality, the customer is always right. And you have to listen in hospitality to be able to deliver a service. And then there is that silence of the service level needs to be just understated, professionalism, like you're not even there. So if you think about, somebody who is a waiter, at an event, or even, you are a waiter in a restaurant, it's discretion, of which, is very paramount to our clients. It is trust that they're going to give you an order and you're going to remember it and it's going to arrive, and the delivery of that service, and you're going to take care and make sure that the food that you're bringing from the kitchen to the table is going to be presented in the way that the customer would expect, and that all of that falls on the shoulders of, the server. So that's why, I think it's that, and you listening. So, a perfect example in Unreasonable Hospitality, they talk about service above and beyond excellence, which is what we're about. And it's something that we become known for, exceeding expectations. When you receive great customer service in Australia, it is received with an element of surprise because you're not expecting that always. And so our clients are so grateful. So an example in the book is they talk about how the server that was looking after some guests, they had been on the trip of a lifetime in New York, and they had talked about everything that they'd seen in New York, and then the one thing that they didn't, and they had their bags and they were at the restaurant and they were going straight from going to 11 Madison was their last dining experience and their last touch of New York. And the one thing that they regretted was that they didn't get to try a New York sidewalk hot dog. So the server heard them, and so they went out and they got them New York hot dogs, and then the chef plated them so that they could fulfill their final New York dream of having a New York style hot dog as part of their menu. So it's those small things which we really, I think that that's something that is a part of your DNA. I don't necessarily think that it's something that you can teach. That wanting to really, that surprise and delight has to be a part of what makes you who you are.
So I'm wondering, Mandi, when you're, looking for people to join ES Concierge, because you certainly do that, and I am a client of yours, and it really has not only surprised and delighted me, but more importantly for me was the surprise and delight that happened from the people that you provided gifts for in a way that was just so incredible. How do you kind of ascertain that somebody's got that desire to do that for another human, and as well as all of the other skills? I mean, that's a hard one to interview for, isn't it?
It's an interesting person, and it doesn't come from a resume.
Right.
It actually, all the interviews that we do, you find the gold nugget when you meet them face to face. And, we obviously talk about what their experience is, what they're looking for in a role, what they're passionate about, what they've really enjoyed in a previous role, what they're looking for in a new role, where do they feel that their strengths are, for joining an organisation. And then I'll give them some examples of if you were to given this scenario, how would you deal with that? And taking a moment for them to obviously digest it, because what we do is very unusual. How they would approach it and how they answer that then gives you some insights into that person. So last year we had a new team member join our team, and when we were, as a small organisation, when you're looking to add a new team member, finding the right pieces of that puzzle is absolutely, it's part of our service delivery model. If we get that wrong, it disrupts the team, and it also disrupts the customer, experience with us. We could not have found a better piece to our puzzle than Kimberly, who joined our team last year, in that it is the just her approach to her work ethic and how she will approach a situation, and then also from a customer service perspective, and then engaging them with her peers in the office. All of those things are really crucial to the success of a new candidate in our business.
Yeah, I could just imagine.
So in the book, he actually talks about, hiring, hiring slow, firing fast, but not too fast. And I am very careful when I'm recruiting somebody. I really do think about how that individual will have an impact on the existing team members, not only the customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I know in the Mattering model, I talk a lot about, that mutual enrichment, but there is a quality, that some people just seem to have that, that they're naturally oriented towards how I can show up to be of service to another human being.
Correct.
And sometimes they come from unexpected, industries where they would never see themselves in, say, a customer service kind of role or a sales role or anything else, and yet they make the very best customer service or sales people.
And I think for somebody who has that ultimate respect for human beings, and they treat a colleague, a customer, a supplier with the same care. No one should be treated any differently. You always should treat people, whether they are, an AV tech who is bumping in a show for you, to a high net worth individual, a CEO, an EA, a restaurant, a wait person. Everybody should be treated with the same respect, because everybody is doing a job. And
that's exactly right.
And to us, we are very passionate around the calmness, and we not only work for our clients, we also work for our suppliers, because without our suppliers we actually don't have a business. So they are our business partners. So having a successful relationship with our suppliers is just as important as the relationship that we have with our customers, and that we are all on the same team.
That's great. So I love what you just said there about, your suppliers being equally as important as your customers, because really when we think about, the people that are on our sales team or are there creating an amazing customer experience, it goes way beyond just the people that have that face-to-face interaction. And how do you, number one, choose suppliers, and then how do you bring them into the fold so that there is that beautiful experience all the way around from, the time that a customer comes to you with something and then something's, delivered or implemented at the other end?
For us, we see our suppliers as our business partners, and they're as much an advocate for our sales journey as our customers are, in referring us to either a colleague or to a peer. And onboarding a customer is so important. If it is a new service provider that we're looking to onboard, we will look at the work that they've done. We will obviously ask for some referrals, some references. Especially if it is something that is at high risk or high value, we will go through a checklist to ensure that we're entering into a relationship with a supplier that has the same work ethic that we do, has the same care about customer service as we do, and that we have the same level of respect for each other. And it may be something, like a really small activation or, requirement that we have from them, that they give us the same amount of care and diligence as if it was a very large transaction. So it's not about the value, it's actually about the service output that is really important to us, and finding the right partners for that, so that we can establish really strong relationships that are going to benefit our clients.
And how do you, we've talked before about the selection process when it comes to, people working for you inside, ES Concierge. Over time, you said, and congratulations on 14 years next month. That's extraordinary.
I can't believe it's 14 years. It has gone in a flash.
Yeah, such an achievement. But over those 14 years, have you developed some systems around, identifying those sorts of suppliers that are going to be aligned? And do you have some criteria that you go through, or is it, we think that this person's all right, we'll give them an opportunity? How does it work at ES Concierge?
So we have a look, and we have a look at their website. We have a look at their social media. We have a look at their LinkedIn presence, and we have a look at their Google reviews. And then we will also, have a look at and ask them for references, especially if it is somebody that we're going to be dealing with, on a very regular basis. We will need to have references and sound checks on, their financial stability as well in this market. That's really important to us, that we are working with businesses that can deliver for our customers, that are in a positive financial situation as well, because that does impact, how a business flows. In a world where social media is how everybody communicates, we will have a look at when their last post was, the kind of content that they share, to make sure that that brand is aligned with the values that we have, that there's nothing controversial, and that there aren't negative comments around their service delivery.
Yeah, yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It was interesting. I was talking yesterday with someone about, customer satisfaction ratings, and everyone seems to be, whether it's, an iron that you buy or a T-shirt, everyone's, you've made this purchase, tell us what your experience was like.
There's a lot of that. Everything that we're doing, we're getting surveys to rate the customer service. It's very important to everybody.
It is important to everybody, but there's a couple of things that that we were talking about yesterday that, I think are also worth businesses exploring. And one is, the things that lead to satisfaction. So the criteria and, the things that you think are the features of the product or service that you've just delivered in terms of delivering satisfaction. And then the other element there is, well, how important is that to the customer? Because we can offer certain things, but unless it's got that high level of priority to the customer, the value can vary. They can say, well, I'm satisfied, but it didn't really matter. And that didn't really matter, but that really mattered. And that's the area that they let us down on. How do you kind of do that on a frequent basis about ES Concierge, and also, from a supplier perspective, from the ES Concierge as customer?
When we're looking at from a supplier perspective, one of the questions that we would ask ourselves is, did that supplier exceed our expectations in what they were doing for us? And that can be as simple as, did they arrive to bump in on time? Did they arrive to collect something on time? What was the order? Like if you're doing an online order, what was the process? Was that communication of the status of the order, was that communicated well? So it's all about, tracking the steps in how we have engaged with them. And did that meet our expectations? Or did it did they let us down? Did it meet our expectations? Did they exceed our expectations? And then we would flag that in for that particular vendor in our database that, this is a vendor that we would highly recommend.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. And then over time you get that real strong cache of vendors that you go to. Yeah.
Exactly. And, before COVID, we obviously had a black book of who those vendors are. But over, that 3-year period, our list of suppliers that we engage with on a regular basis would have grown exponentially, 300%. With the types of requests that we've been asked by customers, because who you used to go to solve that for you may not be in business anymore. Wow. Or it may be something that you used to do, but you actually just don't have the mental or physical capacity to be able to fulfill that request anymore. So we find that, one, during COVID, and two, now as we're going into a year where there's a lot of discussion around financial challenges, we find that our clients, they lean in more because there just isn't the bandwidth, they're feeling the pressure, so they do actually lean into us to help them to solve more things than they would regularly, because they actually just physically don't have the time, the expertise potentially, or the energy.
That's exactly right. I actually think that the future is contracting and really having a different way of approaching our workforces. And when it comes to that delight and surprise element, it makes sense for people to look to services like yours.
And we've found that since COVID, one of the reasons that we introduced the business concierge element to as one of our core pillars is, if you're working on a project with a client, you need a scope of work, you need all of the stakeholders' approval for that stake of work, that all of the aspects are included in that. You set a budget aside, and then you send it out, and then you get a proposal, and there's lots of steps in that. And those steps can be anywhere from 1 week to 6 weeks. And introducing the business concierge, where our members buy an allocation of time, whether that is a small amount, a block of time from 6 hours, 40 minutes for our business 20, right into annual blocks of time, it means that I talk to you right now, and in 10 minutes we can start working on what it is that you need to solve. And then it removes that barrier of entry into getting somebody's approval. Everybody needs support, and that may be they only need support in one element of what they're working on. It means that they can ask us to do anything and they don't feel guilty around asking for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the biggest trait with human nature. We feel guilty saying we actually don't have the time or the knowledge to be able to solve something, and it's actually it's totally okay. And COVID has actually helped us to for people to remove that guilt element around leaning into people who have the expertise to either streamline it or find the answer, and to do it in a very cost-effective and timely manner.
Yep. That's incredible. That's great. And just sometimes you don't even know what you don't know. So if you don't know that there's a service like yours there, and hopefully, the listeners will now go, actually, I could really, look to ES Concierge.
And we hear that a lot.
A lot of that. Yeah.
And we shared, on our journal, like our blogs that we do regularly on our website, we have the power of knowledge and information. So through our blogs, our newsletters, our LinkedIn and our Instagram, these are forms of ways for us to communicate the knowledge that we have to empower people to make great decisions.
Yep, absolutely fantastic. And just for anyone listening who's like, well, what are their blogs? We will make sure that they're included in the show notes there. So Mandi, make sure that send all of those through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so as founder and managing director of what is on the website as Australia's leading life and business concierge, I know that you'd have so much to share about the lessons that you've learned in this space that could help us to also ensure that our customers know that they matter to us because they do. What would be your advice to our listeners who want to create meaningful experiences for their own customers, particularly at a time when they think that, I couldn't possibly, do anything, remotely meaningful because we just don't have the budget, for example. What are some of the do's and don'ts?
It's actually, sometimes it's not about the money that you spend. It's actually that you have thought about how you want to engage with that customer, how you want them to feel, and to show them that you appreciate them. And it can be the smallest thing. It doesn't have to be a very big budget celebration or inviting them to a money can't buy experience. It's actually curating something that really does speak to that customer, and that then shows that, one, you appreciate them, they heard you, they know that you heard them, and they feel valued, and that aligns them strongly with your business.
Yep. It's interesting thinking about and listening to what you're just saying is really thinking about ourselves as what are we really there to do for the customer. So not the product or service that they're buying, but what that product or service does. And one of the things that struck me as you were talking then was the product that you have and you are exceptional at delivering is thoughtfulness. And that surprise and delight, making people smile. That's really the product. The methodology or the mechanism through which you make that happen can be as varied as, making sure that an event has all of the elements that line up on, to make it a memorable event for somebody or to put them on the map. Or it could be as, curated as, a personalised gift with a card and the nice wrapping paper and delivered to their door.
And that gift may have cost $10, but it's about the fact that they knew that it was something that they would really love and that it meant something to them. It could be their favourite lolly, and that you heard them, that was their favourite lolly. And you haven't had that for many, many years. It could have come, you could, have grown up in America and you haven't. It's something that you really miss from your childhood. It's all of those, it's those little touches. Years ago, I had some gentlemen that, I looked after their corporate hospitality, and one of their customers, his absolute dream in life was to meet Wayne Bennett. And at the time, he was the coach for St George, and you couldn't get access to Wayne Bennett. So we found a way for them to be invited to a private lunch with an audience with Wayne Bennett, and we made it happen. And, you know, as a result, you know, they secured this customer and they made a life dream come true. And it's just about asking the questions, because not being afraid to ask, to, you know, somebody will... I had a client last week who said, I've got a really big challenge for you. And I said to him, what is that? And he said, we're going to Barcelona for a conference, and one of my team members in Spain thought that they had secured a restaurant to entertain our clients, and they haven't. And now we don't have a restaurant booking. I really need a restaurant booking. And for him, that was the biggest, you know, it was a dilemma in his day, and one that he just didn't have the capacity to solve. And we found him, and knowing who his audience is, and knowing the gentleman that would be attending the dinner from Australia, we were able to find not only a cool restaurant close to where they, you know, were staying, but also one that really talked to them around what they value from a dining experience. And he was blown away. That just gives me immense joy when we can take something that somebody sees as a really big challenge in their day, and we can solve that for them. And, you know, our job is about making somebody look and feel great.
Yeah. And that must be the best feeling of all, Mandi.
Absolutely. We had, we, you know, obviously, you know, that we do a lot of gifting for our corporate clients. And, you know, last year for us, bespoke gifting was something that was really important. So it wasn't not just curating one individual item. In some instances, we were curating the hampers, because our customer, the feedback from our clients was what is in the market just really wasn't showing their clients that they actually really thought about each of the individual items that were in that box, that really showed that they cared. So one of our clients that we did a bespoke hamper for, they have, in the history of sending, you know, end of year thank you gifts, they've never ever received any communication from their customers to say thank you and that they really enjoyed them. They had so many messages from CEOs saying thank you so much for that. That was the most beautiful hamper that I received this year, and that just makes us incredibly happy.
Oh, I could imagine.
And then through then to, you know, personal gifts. So we had a gentleman who, he wanted a gift for his wife. He'd given us the budget, and he had shared what her likes are, you know, what she looks like. And he really wanted something that was very beautiful and made her feel very special. So we found her a beautiful necklace at Cartier. Oh, actually, no, it was Chanel. It was a Chanel necklace. And we had it delivered to so we coordinated with Chanel to have it, we found it, and there was only one in Australia. We had it couriered to his office, hand delivered, so that he could take it home, because it was the last trading day for his business, and he didn't want his wife to know that she, you know, and didn't want it coming to the house. So our job was not only to find that gift that he was searching for, to then find it in stock, to then facilitate the purchasing, the wrapping, and then the timely delivery to his office, so that he could give his wife the gift that, you know, made her feel really special.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. And I think that's the secret sauce of what you're saying is, I mean, that gift is next level for a start.
Totally.
And the fact that it was the only one in Australia, unbelievable. But it was that next level of care to make sure that on the last day of trade, he received that hand delivered, so that she had no idea about it. It added to the whole surprise element that he was trying to achieve, that surprise and delight for his wife. What a lucky woman.
Totally. You know, and quite often, you know, especially when we're doing gifting, we want to be the recipient. So we want that person to feel the joy that we would feel if, you know, we were the person who was receiving that. So like one of the client that I do regular shopping for, he's called me and he said, my girlfriend is actually going to be here in an hour and a half and she is going to be going away, but I would like to purchase a pair of red-soled shoes. And so that is Christian Louis Vuitton, for those people who don't know the red-soled shoes. Could you go and select a pair and have them delivered to my home within the hour? So we did that. I know what size she is, so I shortlisted it to 5 pairs and sent a photo of the 5 pairs while I was in the store. He selected them, we did the transaction, called a driver that we use often for hand deliveries, and I met him on the street and he delivered it within the hour. So we can do the impossible.
Yeah. No, that's extraordinary. Well, Mandi, I could talk to you all day, but unfortunately I can't. It's been an absolute delight. We're going to make sure that people have links to your website, to your Insta page, to any other pages that you want us to, because yours is a service that I think can only grow exponentially over time as people start to get smarter about the way that they think about scaffolding the services that they're able to provide, because it might not be core to their business, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not important to their business and to their business customers, their suppliers, and really thinking about it in a different way. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. And that book, Unreasonable Hospitality, is piled up next to my bed alongside a few more. Reading Diary of a CEO at the moment, Mandi.
I've just finished that, and I have so many pages folded down.
Same. I've got all of my highlights everywhere.
It's such a great book, and there's so many. You know, one of the things that I've learned in this 14 years is I'm always looking for how we can do things better and how we can change, and we're always listening and learning. So I'm always looking to learn so that we can, one, I can be a better human, and two, we can provide a better service, and we can provide a service to our clients that is, you know, we're listening, we're changing and adapting. We don't just go into the market and this is what we do. Our answer is always yes, we can.
Oh, I love that. Our answer is always yes, we can. And then it's about how.
Correct.
Worry about that after.
Yes.
I love that. Well, thanks again, Mandi.
Thank you, Ingrid. I really
to
appreciate it.
Another time.
Beautiful. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.